Brothers and sisters, can you feel it? There's a quickening in the air, a spiritual electricity that crackles just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. The headlines you read on your phone, the news reports you hear on the television, these are not just random acts of history unfolding. No, sir. These are the carefully orchestrated movements of a divine clock, ticking down to a moment foretold thousands of years ago. What if Trump's recent 21-point peace plan is adopted? We are living in a time when the veil between the seen and the unseen is growing thin. The ancient words of the prophets are living, breathing realities knocking at our front door. The world is groaning, like a woman in labor, ready to give birth to a new and terrible age. I have come to you today, not as a politician, not as a news anchor, but as a watchman on the wall. God has placed me here to sound the alarm, to wake up a slumbering church, to cry out in the wilderness of our modern distractions. The stage is being set for the final act of human history, and the props are being moved into place right before our very eyes. The Apostle Paul told us that we are not children of the dark, that this day should not overtake us as a thief, and right now, the signs are flashing like lightning in a midnight storm, and they are all pointing toward the Middle East. The epicenter has always been and will always be Israel. The trumpets are beginning to sound. Let us begin to peel back the layers of this momentous proposal. President Trump's 21-point peace plan. Do not get lost in the political jargon or the media spin. I want you to see the raw components, the building blocks of this so-called deal of the century. We must look at it with the eyes of a watchman, searching for the prophetic fingerprints that are all over this thing. Trump recently met leaders and officials from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Indonesia, and Pakistan to discuss the nearly 2-year-long war in Gaza between Israel and Palestinian militants, Hamas. The meeting was held at the UN on the sidelines of the annual General Assembly. The world sees a roadmap to peace, but the spiritually discerning must ask, what kind of peace, and at what cost? Here are the first 3 points, laid out plain and simple. Point 1. A formal recognition of a Palestinian state by Israel and by the United States. Point 2. The new state of Palestine will be fully demilitarized. No army, no navy, no air force. Its security will be guaranteed by a coalition of international forces including American and moderate Arab nations. Point 3. Israel will annex approximately 30% of the West Bank, including all major settlement blocks, which will become sovereign Israeli territory. Do you see the architecture here? It is a masterful work of negotiation, a delicate dance of give and take. To the secular world, it looks like the problem is solved. Statehood, security guarantees, and sovereignty over biblically significant lands. But for those of us who walk by faith, this foundation is built on shaky ground. It is a peace brokered by man, not ordained by God. Jeremiah warned of the day when they would cry, "Peace, peace," when there is no peace. A fragile peace, a temporary solution that sets the stage for a far greater conflict. The peace of a prince yet to be revealed. Now we come to the heart of the matter. We come to the city of the great king, Jerusalem. The Bible says Jerusalem will become a cup of trembling, a burdensome stone for all peoples. Holy to Judaism, holy to Christianity, holy to Islam. Its fate is intertwined with the destiny of mankind. Point 4. The city will not be physically divided. No walls, no fences, no checkpoints. Open to all. Point 5. Israel retains sovereignty over the whole of Jerusalem as its undivided capital. Point 6. The Palestinian capital will be established in a portion of East Jerusalem, in neighborhoods east and north of the barrier, such as Abu Des, without touching the old city. It gives both sides a victory they can sell. Jerusalem is ours, and we have a capital in East Jerusalem. Yet Zechariah 12 speaks of all nations gathered against Jerusalem. This plan brings nations into the administration and security of the city. It does not solve the Jerusalem problem. It puts a temporary bandage on a gaping wound and sets a prophetic time bomb. Every tick brings us closer. And now the hard realities of security and sovereignty. Lean in. What comes next could be the hinge of history. Peace is more than a signature. For peace to last, the people must feel secure. Point 7. A high-tech security barrier completed around the new Palestinian state. Point 8. The Jordan Valley remains under full Israeli security control as a strategic buffer. Point 9. Phased release of security prisoners over 5 years as a gesture of goodwill. Point 10. The Palestinian state must recognize Israel as the Jewish state. Now stop right here. Do not scroll. Do not open another tab. Do not let your mind wander. Lean in and listen. We have just laid out 10 points of a plan that could reshape the world. We are standing at a prophetic precipice. What comes next is the linchpin, the connection between the headlines of today and the prophecies of tomorrow. Do not grow weary. Do not get distracted. The Watchman is sounding the alarm, and you need to hear the rest. What follows could be the key to understanding the very covenant that triggers the final 7 years of human history. These points are a cocktail of hope and future despair, each concession a seed that could grow into a tree of bitterness. For 2,500 years, Daniel 9:27 has waited, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. The he is a future world leader. The week is 7 years. This peace covenant starts the tribulation clock. Is this not a covenant with many? Security by international coalition, United States, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, Jordan, and more. They will say peace and safety, but Paul warned, then sudden destruction comes. This covenant is the trigger. The clock begins to tick. Revelation's first seal reveals a rider on a white horse, false peace. Then the second rider, to take peace from the earth. And there was given unto him a great sword. The celebrated peace deal leads to war. Triggers abound. Demilitarization's power vacuum, prisoner releases, contested sovereignty in Jerusalem, flashpoints ignite. The moment one party feels betrayed or the Antichrist consolidates power, the whole structure collapses into violence. Trump's plan, or a future version, is not the ultimate cause. It is the catalyst. It gathers the fuel and provides the spark. The covenant is not just about borders and armies. It is about money. Follow the money. Point 11, an economic zone. Revelation 13 warns no one can buy or sell without the mark. A $50 billion fund. Prosperity to peace. To build infrastructure, create jobs, connect to global markets. A modern corridor links the West Bank and Gaza. All transactions digitized, monitored by an international body to prevent terror funding. Integration into a regional economic alliance. UN aid phased out, replaced by managed finance. Massive money injections with strings. Digital rails that can track every purchase and shut them off. Once in place, switches can be flipped. Buy, sell, access, conditional on compliance. They are building the cage and calling it opportunity, forging chains and calling them prosperity. Control a nation's economy, control the nation. Economic sovereignty handed to the many, Daniel's language fulfilled. When dissent costs the ability to live, eat, and provide, dissent dies. Point 12. No one will be forced to leave Gaza. Point 13. Hamas will have no role in Gaza's governance. Point 14. A security guarantee will be provided by regional partners. Point 15. An international stabilization force. We now arrive at the most volatile ground on earth, the Temple Mount, known to Muslims as the Haram al-Sharif, Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Dome of the Rock. For the Jewish people, the place of the first and second temples, a spiritual powder keg. Be sure to watch my video on the third temple. The link is in the description. Status quo maintained. Jordan retains custodianship, administration for Muslim worship. But then, the bombshell. People of all faiths guaranteed the right to visit and pray. Designated zones and times. Point 16. A joint Israeli-Palestinian-Jordanian committee, overseen by the international coalition, to manage interfaith relations. Daniel says in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, meaning they must first begin. Point 17. By opening prayer rites, cracks the door, an altar, then eventually a temple. Legal frameworks aligned. The Antichrist will sell it as tolerance and religious freedom. The abomination of desolation begins in embryo, a shared holy site destined to be desecrated by the man of sin. Point 18. Israel agrees not to carry out future strikes in Qatar. We are coming to the end of the blueprint, the final brushstrokes on a masterpiece of deception. Refugees compensated to resettle, no right of return, a permanent ache, a seedbed for resentment. Both sides must declare an official end to the conflict, peace and safety proclaimed, enshrined by UN resolution enforced by an international coalition, cementing one world governance architecture, a Trojan horse of peace carrying the army of the apocalypse. 19. A process will be established to de-radicalize the population. 20. When Gaza's redevelopment has been advanced, there is a path to the Palestinian statehood. 21. The U.S. will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians. A plan that promises peace, but paves the road to Armageddon, offers security, but forges chains of control. The sun is setting on the age of grace. The midnight hour is upon us. Be watching, be praying. Have your spiritual bags packed and be ready to go. This is not a time for playing church, it is a time for being the church. A beacon of light and a hospital for the broken. Dive into Daniel, the Olivet Discourse, Thessalonians, and Revelation, your survival guide for the days ahead. Watch our next message on the end times and share it. Thank you for watching The Nonprofit. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.